Hey guys, Infidel 1258 here. 3 days ago, from the time I was recording, there was a Splinterlands town hall, and I didn't actually comment on it except to speak to the battle wagons and the airdrop opportunities. But now I need to comment, and I haven't yet, on these new soulbound reward cards that are supposed to be coming. He said within 2024, middle of 2024 is what we're aiming at. And there was one other amazing and important fact, and I want to share clips because I want to unpack what they have to say about these two things. So we're getting new soulbound cards. That means that the old ones are going to be unlockable. When are they going to be unlockable? What's the cost? How and what can we see or speculate about when we start to understand what he's saying? Let's get into it. My name is Dwayne Cunningham. I go by Infidel 1258. You can just call me 12. Drop comments on every video. I go through the comment section regularly and turn them into videos. So I'd be happy to answer your question. Just leave it in the comment section below. Let's get into it. So I have two clips prepared. They're both probably a minute long. And the first is just going to set the stage. If you don't already know, they've said that they're going to do, they want to establish a card value for cards that are going to be unlockable like that. Like the soulbound reward cards, that's a huge amount of card supply. If we just make them easily unlockable for relatively nothing, then that's going to flood the market. That's going to cause price dips in other assets too, because there's these cheap assets that people can use to play the game with. Now, maybe they don't need Rebellion, they don't need Chaos Legion, and those prices come down even more. So Matt's trying to be cognizant of that potential concern. If you inflate the card market with new options, old options might suffer from a price perspective. Let's listen.
Just to share some numbers, the cost of the average cost for packs, like Rebellion packs, is including the bonus packs, is something like 18 times the collection power, right? So the average value of the collection power you get when you open a pack, the pack costs, or the DEC burn value of the cards in a pack is about 200. So in the average pack, you get about 200 DEC worth of cards. And the pack costs, the base cost is $4. You can get it a little cheaper. So that makes it about 18 times that 200 collection power. So that's our baseline. That's what cards should cost. And I think unlocking the reward cards should cost something similar to that, and then you'll be able to get a discount by using vouchers, as always, right? So that's what we're looking at. So something like 2 times burn value, 4 times, 5 times burn value would still mean that those cards are way cheaper than any other cards that are going into the ecosystem. And again, that messes up everything if a certain huge supply of cards is just offered way cheaper. And they also have benefits in that when you open a pack, you don't know what cards you're going to get. So you buy a pack for $4, you don't know, you get random cards. Sometimes you get better ones, sometimes you get worse ones. But with the soulbound reward cards, you actually get to choose. So you say, I want to unlock these cards because these are valuable. People want them. I want to sell those. So it's like buying packs, but you get to choose which card. Like, I only want to spend $4 on a pack because I know it's going to have this legendary card that I want. So
I'll stop it there. There's one more short clip we'll get back to, but I hope it's clear what he's saying there, which is, again, if the burn value if the unlock of cost associated with the new soulbound reward cards, there's the existing soulbound reward cards, is anything less than 18 times the burn value, then what will happen is those cards will be really, really cheap from a market perspective, cheaper than any other card in the game. And if this card is a quality card, it is a quality card. If Phyrexia Hero is a quality card, these are soulbound reward cards, by the way. If they're amazing cards, and I know that people are going to want them, and if I have extra copies of them, I have 146 extra copies of Hero X Defender. Well, if this card can be unlocked for 2 times its collection power, it's going to be significantly cheaper than every other card on the marketplace. I hope that's clear. And therefore, you would immediately be introducing very cheap cards to the marketplace. And what would happen if you came to the marketplace and you saw not just Pelicorn Mercenary at 1 penny, Gargoyle Lion at 1 penny, but what if you saw other cards that were What if you saw other cards that were 1/10 of 1 penny? That were 1/20th of 1 penny? That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about the burn value, the unlock value needs to be higher than that. That's the argument he's making there. And so I think people were expecting 7 times. I think I've heard that number, and the burn value of each of the cards. So of course, this is a big surprise probably to some of you. I've never really put much thought into it. I didn't really think about it or care about it. I just knew it would be some cost, and whatever it is, I knew I would be okay with that for certain cards, because some cards are that good, and I'm going to want to unlock extra copies of these legendaries because I know they'll have a value in the marketplace, and I'm going to want to sell them to people who don't currently own them. So I have always looked at these Soulbound reward cards as carrying a value because they have utility in the game. They unlock extra victories, therefore they earn more SPS, therefore they have a value. They might not have a price, but they have a value. And that has always meant to me that I will bring some of them to the marketplace. And also, because they have a DEC cost to bring to marketplace, I have always argued that they will carry a higher than normal value on the marketplace. Not just value, but price. Why will they have a higher price than some of the other legendaries that are probably equal caliber? Because they will be limited in number in a way that these cards aren't. Not just Chaos Legion, but like look at, even if you were to look at the print rates of some of these reward cards as opposed to those new Soulbound reward cards, you have to know that that's not apples to apples. Why is it not? Because these old reward cards like Pelacor Mercenary that were printed in huge quantities were all made marketable, transferable, tradable, sellable on day one. And they're never not going to be transferable. Unless you have them personally staked or locked or whatever on your account, these BCX are always transferable. As opposed to the current Soulbound reward cards, which are locked and have to be paid to be unlocked. And many people will refuse to pay that fee for at least some of their cards, because I'm not going to sell my last Ferox Defender as an example. So I'm going to always have 400 copies of this thing locked up. I might sell 146 that I'm not using, or with Phyrexia Hero, if I have any extras left over, I might sell those. But you see my point. Not every card that was printed from these Soulbound reward cards will ever reach the marketplace. If that's true, there's a reduced supply. Now I know these Soulbound reward cards have, I don't actually know their print rates, but I know that there's been like a lot of them over the year or whatever they've been on the market, or they've been available. But I think my point is true and indicates or leads me to believe that some of these cards, especially the ones that are particularly powerful, maybe not, I wouldn't highlight that one first and foremost. You know, Coastal Sentry is amazing. Everybody uses it. Kulu Mastermind's amazing. Musa's great. What else is super good? If you don't have the Slinger, like if you were a new account and you didn't have this card, I think you're missing out. The Martyr's too important. And so there's certain, now you don't need a level 10 maybe, but you see my point. It's like some of these cards are just, they're must have. I use Drybone Barbarian a lot. Imperial Knight's an exceptional card. Iziar, when that thing is available on the marketplace, you know I'm going to upgrade that and make sure I get that Martyr, because this is a Martyr at level 3. This card is actually proved to be really powerful because of the weapon training, and it works so well with some of the non-attacking monsters on the white team. 6 mana is really limited for a 3 damage output, and the weapons training buff has made that very powerful. So I just gave you 5 or 6 examples, and I didn't even go through every splinter. These cards are great. They're desirable. And what about the summoners, by the way? The summoners are great too. They introduce gladiators into the rank experience, which is game-changing. And so this is clearly going to be a moment where their value will begin realized. There'll be a price discovery for their hidden value. And I, for one, will market some of them, but I know for a fact a good proportion of the total supply will never reach the marketplace. And that brings us to the second clip. How is it going to work that once they're brought to market, are they always, like, what's going to happen? Like, is there going to be if we're getting new Soulbound reward cards in the middle of 2024, what is the window of time with which we can access these old Soulbound reward cards? Is it forever? Are they always unlockable? Are they always transferable? Let's listen to the second clip.
You know, I think we're going to do, it'll be a time period. There'll be a time limit, right? So these cards won't be able to be unlocked forever. You know, something like 6 months or a year at least. right? So after that point, that will be it. Whoever has unlocked those cards, that'll be the amount of those cards that are in circulation. And then who knows, what the price might be of those cards, based on the market after that. But I think it's just extremely important to not repeat the mistakes we've done with Chaos Legion, and not to allow.
I'll stop him there because it's the same continuation of the earlier point. He wants to be super clear that too much supply of cards is a bad thing from a price perspective, and therefore from an attraction of new players perspective, because we don't want people to come in with big money, find that their values have dwindled. That's not a good marketing conversation. So he's saying, look, let's make it a significant burn cost to see these cards come to market. What will that translate to? Only few of them will ever come to market. Since they are good cards and only a few come to market, they should carry a high value. And this point he just dropped, which blew my mind and made me feel I needed to do this video, is that there will be a finite window of time for us to unlock them. Meaning, not just is a limited number coming to market, not just they're good and that they're going to have a high value because of that, but there's only this, I don't know if he clearly said, but there's just let's imagine it's a month or two or whatever, 3 even, where you can actually unlock them. That's actually going to exacerbate my expectation. It's going to make it more likely that very, very few of these make it to marketplace. Because in the first opening period of time, I'll go ahead and list the ones that I've got extra. So will you, so will some of you. But you know what will happen? Some people won't have the DC. They'll never get around to it. They'll never do it. And I really, if it was forever, you could do it. If you could always unlock Terracious Hulk, that would be acceptable in my mind. That's what I was expecting. So this new comment that he just said is so much better, because it's going to continue to chain down the soul bounds. Some will be made liquid. Some will make it to the marketplace, but many, 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 in fact, I think the vast majority will never make it to marketplace. If they're good cards and if the supply is low, then the price should be high, which leaves me with my conclusion for you here. I really, truly believe if you walk in the confidence I do that these cards are excellent, that their supply will be low, and therefore their value will be high, their price will be high, not just value, that it would make sense to unlock some of your extras and be patient and watch the market find a nice price. The price might be nice and high right at the beginning, but I don't think logically it makes sense that the price will be I think that the price won't decline dramatically because the supply demand mechanics I just unpacked for you, because of the way he just described how it's going to operate and how they're going to launch, be unlocked, and that window will close. All that to me speaks to very limited supply and ongoing price appreciation in an exceptional way. I would think that some of these core cards will have maybe unheard of low levels of availability. And I think if I'm right, of course, that means good things for the price. So I'm excited to watch that. And I think this is not something you need to kind of prepare or panic over, or, you know what I mean? It's not like there's a lot going on in this game. And sometimes it feels like I got to do something right now. The good news about this discovery or this comment from this recent town hall is that you don't need to act on this at all at this moment, but it will pay. If you pay attention when these soulbounds are unlockable, I think you'll be doing yourself a favor, because you might discover you have copies of a certain card that's very, very low supply. And okay, I'm willing to spend the DEC to acquire and then spend the DEC / vouchers for that discount in order to see that I have a few hundred copies of a certain key card that I think is exceptional. What's a good example? Maybe you wouldn't have hundreds of, these legendaries, you won't. But how about some of these rares? Some of these amazing rares. Oh, that's not soulbound, a reward card. The summoners, that's a great example. The summoners are going to be clutch. That gladiator buff conscript is so key. Introducing gladiators and ranking experience is amazing. And I would argue if you can unlock a few extra dozen of some of these cards and just hold on to them, you don't need to rush into selling them. My view would be that would be a long-term wise play, because that window to unlock will close and you'll be left holding some flexible cards, I think, if I understood that correctly. And if so, that's exciting. So let's stay tuned and pay more attention to the upcoming town halls. He said the middle of 2024 we'll see some new soulbounds. If so, that'd be cool too, wouldn't it? Like a whole new experience, just like we've seen with Rebellion and how that's transformed the Modern League as well as the Wild League. New soulbound reward cards is exciting because you might get some cool new cards, but it's also exciting because it changes the game. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. Stick around, stay tuned. If you enjoyed the content and you watched right up to the end, please drop a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Have an amazing day. God bless.